Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Live Well podcast today. This interview is a very special one. If you've ever been curious about Feng Shui and how it can change your life, then this chat is for you. I speak with Dervilla Griffin, Feng Shui Master and Shaman, all about the personality of your home or your business, how small changes can massively affect the quality of your life, and there's also a lot of chat about energy and frequency.
To understand a house, you've got to understand the energy of the house and the good and the good parts of it and the weak parts of it. Because like us, we've all got weaknesses in our body. And so does a house. It's got good energy and not so good energy. So it's about understanding how the energy will play out and affect us all. Like I remember I did a house for this lady. It was actually during COVID times. So I did it online and she had 6 miscarriages.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, I'm an absolutely lovely woman and husband and everything, and because we did Zoom calls and stuff, and we worked on the house, and the energy was just completely off in the master bedroom. But they had a huge house. So I found an energy which was fantastic, and I said, "This is the room you need to move into. You won't need to do much to it. You just spend your time here." And now they've got 3 children.
Oh, wow! Yeah. It's fun. It's wild. I hope you enjoy it. Dervilla Griffin of Feng Shui Matters, thank you so much for coming on the Live Well podcast this morning. I am super excited about this conversation. I really am. We've so much to cover. I don't know where to get started, but I think I'll start with, it's the obvious question. How did you get started in a career in Feng Shui? Because like I said to you earlier, it's not on the CAO application and it's such a diverse choice of career. How did you end up there?
It's funny you asked that, Hilary. Anyway, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's
Pleasure.
Really an honor. And as I've met you in person, I was drawn to your energy. So I knew we were going to have a meetup when I first met you again. So yeah, it was very interesting. I was never drawn to Feng Shui at all. I was working in Australia back in 1996. I was working in Sydney. I had a great job out there working with different ambassadors coming into the country. And I was working with a Chinese delegation. And after working with them for some time, I was told I had an empathy with buildings.
Wow. Which
I didn't realize. I just thought everyone was like that. So I could sense and feel stuff within buildings. And they told me I should explore it.
Wow.
And at that time when I was in Australia, as you know, you just want to travel.
Yeah.
To get around, you want to eat good food, you want to be out in the sun, and you want to travel. So I didn't really give it much thought until many years later. I finally, keeping in contact with some of the people, I finally went out to China. And I thought, right, let's give it a go. Let me study it and see if I can make a difference. Because, Hilary, up until then, I was working as a buyer, and I was seconded to the pharmaceutical trade. So wherever I went, it was always the pharma industry. And I thought, you know what, even though I know we do need drugs and I understand that, but I felt the emphasis was always on drugs, and I knew there's something more to it than that. So that's why I thought, give up my good job, my well-paid job, and let's travel and see what happens. And if nothing happens after a year, I'll go back to my job.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was back in 2005 when I traveled to Beijing and China. And I then came back, worked back in my work, but I still studied it for a further 3 years in detail, Feng Shui. And then I opened my business at the start of the recession in 2008.
Of course.
And yeah, and it's been great ever since. I've had ups and downs, and 2019, I was in India, and I thought, I was working out there. I had about 5 jobs out there for a lovely Indian man hired me and brought me out to India. And I thought everything would, I'd have loads of work after that. And then sure, COVID hit, and that was the end of that. So yeah, so that really got me into Feng Shui, really.
I think though, when you talk about those highs and lows though, I think it almost forces you into a new place. That's what I find as well, because as an actor, your career is never guaranteed and work is never guaranteed. So you have to kind of think outside the box quite a bit, particularly when you're a solopreneur, which you and I both are. But it forces that difficult period always forces you into a new space, I find. Was there something new that you added during that time, or was it just a period that you knew you had to ride out?
For me, it was mainly about going within,
Mm.
connecting more with nature for me. I would go out into the garden, and I remember once lying on the grass doing a meditation and getting up, and I just saw all these dandelions, and like they were like looking at me. The yellow flowers were on, and it was like, wow. It's like they allowed me into their frequency. And I
Mm.
remember going straight out to my cabin and looking up dandelions, the properties of dandelions, and realizing how beneficial they are for the body. And then I
Mm.
realized again, here we are told to kill these with Roundup, and they are
Yeah,
not weeds, they are our medicine.
they're
And I think,
marvelous.
yeah, and I think we are surrounded, everybody's house and their garden have herbs that are for them. It's the frequency for them. And we
Mm.
walk by them and we're just so unaware of it, Hilary. So during that time, I connected more with nature. For me, that was the big thing. And with
Mm.
myself, with my own energies, and doing more energy work for myself.
Mm. That's how the Live Well podcast was born, was during that time as well, because again, I wanted to go back and connect in with nature. And it reminded me of being a child and feeling very safe, feeling very held by nature, trusting implicitly in her that she had everything that we needed. So that's where the Live Well podcast was born out of. So it's really interesting.
Excellent.
It's when you talk about that person, that part of the Chinese delegation who said to you that you had, what way did you put it?
An empathy with buildings.
An empathy with buildings. That's
Yeah.
a very random thing for a stranger to say to you. Sometimes it takes a complete stranger to say something like that to change the course of your life, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Like I was a bit taken back from it because I thought, well, what does he mean by that?
Hmm.
And then I suppose when you've got like I did feel energy in buildings and in spaces and in places.
Mm.
And I just thought everyone had that about them.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, they kind of that struck a chord with me, and it wasn't until later years that I realized now I'm ready to explore it. But
Mm.
back then I wasn't.
And when you say because I understand what you mean when you say there's you'd feel energy in certain buildings or certain parts of buildings, but can you explain that further for listeners?
Okay, so a house is like a battery. It will hold information.
Mm.
So even if it's a new house, Hilary, because people say to me, I don't have any spirits in my house. It's a new house. I wouldn't buy an old house now because that would hold spirits. And, spirits could be in that. I'm like, oh no, spirits don't need actual doors to come in.
Yeah.
Put a house on a plot of land. And if there's trauma on that land, you've
Mm.
got spirits, you've got that energy coming into your house.
Wow.
So yeah, we're just, and you know what I find when people buy a house, if a couple, like there's been lots of separations since
Mm.
COVID because people realize they don't want to be with their partners anymore because that match isn't the same as what it was initially.
Mm.
And that made people wake up and realize things, but it also made them realize how much they wanted to spend time in their house or not.
Mm.
And a lot of people spend, like, friends, I know friends that are always eating out, are always out of their house. But why? I don't like traveling, Hilary. I love being in my home because I know
Mm.
my energy is here. I know
Wow.
what's going on. I am never envious of anyone in the big houses.
So like a telltale, a little flag for people if they feel they don't want to be in their own space or they don't feel comfortable in their space, that maybe it's not the right space for them, or if it is the right space for them, are there little changes that they can make within that space to make it more like the energy flow better for them?
Absolutely. It's about understanding your home and how it makes you feel. So
Mm.
you're going to be drawn into a house of like frequency. And you'll have a lesson to learn in that house. Like a
Mm.
lot of my clients have realized they've been drawn in because they need to learn something because it's a match. The house, the frequency that it's resonating at is a match to their frequency. So I
Mm.
always ask my clients who actually picked this house. Like there's always one side who really want it, and the other one is like, no, this isn't for me.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
even our cottage, Hilary, like this was like the grandparents' house, my husband's grandparents' house. And when my husband said, we're going to move it, we're going to move in, do it up, and this is where we're going to live. And I thought, no, no, I just can't do it. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, the energy just isn't right. So I was always trying to put it right. And I remember, Hilary, when I wanted to build on an extension to work from home, because I wanted to really excel at my feng shui, I thought I'll extend my house, my cottage. And then I thought, hang on a second, extending something that doesn't suit me is just like putting on weight. It's still the same essence. It's just extending a certain frequency. And then I thought, no, I need to get this house and design it to feng shui principles so that it's my boudoir. It's, and it is. I absolutely love my cabin. Yeah.
So you built your own cabin exactly to match your energetic frequency.
Well, when I say I built it now, I went down, they had these on homes where they were selling cabins, and I saw this and I loved it. And I couldn't afford it at the time, Hilary, but I chatted to the owners and I said, look, this would be my preference. And they said, well, actually, we've got a sale on that one. So if you want that one, we can actually take it down and put it back up for you. And it was just, yeah, that was mine. So I was very particular in how it was going to sit on the land, on my parcel of land, because that's how the energy was going to play out. So coming in the doors, getting the energy so that I could sit in the right spot. That was so important to me. And it just worked amazingly.
Wow. For people who've never heard of feng shui, I mean, I know it was kind of like talked about quite a bit in the 80s and the 90s, and then it seemed to disappear. It was kind of like a part of pop culture. Can you describe what it is for people if they're tuning in and going, okay, they're talking about energetic and frequencies in homes, but I don't get this. Like, how do you put it in almost layman's terms?
Well, everything has got a frequency. So when we look at a house, it's like us. We've got an energy about us. Like you and me are completely different, Hilary. Like you and your husband and me and my husband were completely different. A house is different too. So it's about understanding the essence of the house and how it will play out when you live there. I mean, many people go and look at houses and they've only spent half an hour or maybe 2 hours there. They've gone 3 visits, half an hour each time, and they want to buy the house.
Yeah.
They don't understand the energy. So I go with clients and I'll say, right, okay, I'll walk around the house and I'll get them to go so many times themselves. And then when they're with me, I'll get them to sense and feel, because that will bring their energy up, and then now they're sensing and feeling at a different energy level. So to understand a house, you've got to understand the energy of the house and the good and the good parts of it and the weak parts of it. Because like us, we've all got weaknesses in our body. And so does a house. It's got good energy and not so good energy. So it's about understanding how the energy will play out and affect us all. Like I remember I did a house for this lady. It was actually during COVID times. And so I did it online, and she had 6 miscarriages.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, and an absolutely lovely woman and husband and everything, and because we did Zoom calls and stuff, and we worked on the house, and the energy was just completely off in the master bedroom. But they had a huge house. So I found an energy which was fantastic, and I said, "This is the room you need to move into. You won't need to do much to it. You just spend your time here." And now they've got 3 children.
Oh, wow! That's the power.
The energy can stop things from happening.
That's incredible. And so I suppose you could say that the house has a personality. I mean, you could you could replace the word energy with personality almost. And to see that, are you going to get on with this house? Yes. Are you it's so interesting to view it as that. And so will people come to you when they're buying properties or in existing properties, or all of the above?
All of the above. Mainly my clients are with me now. If they're buying a second property, then I'll always look at it first for them. Or if they're going to rent in the States, I'll look at the properties over there for them.
Wow.
And I also do design phase projects. So I'm involved in quite a few design phase projects. So I work with engineers and my clients and architects. It's funny, Hilary, though, right? Okay. Architects will have me working on their houses.
Yeah.
But when it comes to their clients' houses, they don't want to know.
Why?
Because they want to put their spin on it. They want to design the house. They don't want any input from me.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I do work, when I work with the clients, I'll work with the clients through the architects to say,
Mhm.
okay, this is the design. Okay, but we need to just change this, this, and this around, and then we're good. Or this is a good energy here. You put the bathroom there. Don't put the bathroom there.
So talk us through what a consultation looks like. So you can do them online and you can do them in people's homes or businesses as well. That's really important too.
Yeah.
What does it look like? What do you come armed with and what do you do? I'm so curious.
Okay, so I'm going to do a general house for somebody. So what I do is I get the information prior to calling to the home. So I'll send them out an email and I'll get their dates of birth and family members
Uh-huh.
and when the house was built and what was on the land prior to it. Yeah. Did they build on any extensions? If so, what did they build on? What was the year they built on? Because that's going to give me information when I go there.
Wow.
Then I call to the house. I have my information, so I know who I'm dealing with, who's on the same frequency as me, or who will understand me at what level. Will it be the Banantee or will it be the man of the
Yeah,
house?
yeah.
So I kind of know their energies as I'm calling to the house. And then what I do is if they don't have the blueprints as the house, the plans for the house, my husband, he's great. He'll draw them up.
Wow.
Yeah, he's excellent. And he really grounds me in as well. Donald does. He's really good at that.
Mm.
So we go to the house, we look at the plans. If everything's okay, then I will walk through the house. I'll be showed everybody's bedrooms, and then
Mm.
I will be left on my own and I will connect in throughout the house myself. I'll photograph it and I will video it. I'll wear a camera on my head, Hilary, and I
Wow.
would just sense and feel, and I will record anything I'm feeling in my body. So what I'm doing is I'm sensing the energy patterns, anything that's left behind in the energy fields, I pick up in my body. So it could be a pain. It could be a pain in my lower back. Or as I said to you before in our first talk, I had this pain going down my left-hand side of my body. And it was the energy, the spirit of the house was telling me there's an aspect wrong here. Somebody's got this pain. So at least I can relay that to the person who needs to hear it, that
Yeah.
it's not because of their illnesses or body, it's to do with the house's energy. It needs to be cleared. Yeah. So
Mm.
I never know what's really going to happen with clients or what I'm going to say until I chat to them and then the information starts flowing. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And is that traditional feng shui or is that kind of like, do you add the intuition part of it yourself?
Yes, a good question, Hilary. It's more than feng shui. I do the basic feng shui, but then because I'm so sensitive to energy, I add in that element to it as well. And
Mm.
then as I've trained in shamanic work, I add in that element to it as well. So I go under the guise of feng shui, but I
Yeah.
incorporate everything I need to in order for the family to thrive and to do well in the house.
That's quite incredible. Let's talk about the shamanic training that you've taken on, because you said to me initially you didn't want to do that at all. Why?
No, I didn't because spirits and stuff, I prefer, not dealing with them, to be
Yeah.
honest. I just think, you know what, I'm just too sensitive for that.
Yeah.
And, and I just didn't want to go there. I just wanted an easy life, Hilary. I didn't want complications, to be
Sure, we
honest.
all do. We all do, Dervilla.
Oh yeah, I know. And I remember meeting Paul. He's a shaman chap, and many, many years ago I met up with him and we did a barter system because I knew the land where I'm living, I knew that needed to be healed. And I knew
Mm.
I needed somebody with a strong earth energy who could ground that in, but not me. Because
Mm.
it wasn't for me to do it. I needed an outside source to come in and do that for me.
Yeah.
And he did the work on the house, and he worked with my husband as well on that, and that was really, really good. And I did some work for him. And then all of a sudden I started doing like hotels and businesses, and I could sense the spirits more so, Hilary. And then it got to the stage that I would bring Paul in under my umbrella and get him to sort the spirits out so I could do my work.
Mm.
So once he'd complete and send the spirits where they needed to go, I would come in and I wouldn't be interfered with. I could just sense and feel away my own work, and that was grand. But it got to the stage that I started feeling spirits in all the houses I was going to. So
Wow.
it got to the stage I had to phone up Paul, and I said to Paul, look, I said, I know you're doing an introduction course into shamanic healing. I think it was a 6-week course or 8-week course. I said, do I need to do it? I said, and I told him why. And he said, no. And I was pure relief, Hilary.
Yeah.
I really was so relieved. He looked at me and he knew I was relieved. And he was with another shaman at the time. And he just said to me, no, he said, you're coming straight into my advanced course. And I went, oh God, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. No. Actually, do you know what? Now, as I'm talking to you, I can feel the frequency of my legs going. They're like jumping up and down because
Wow.
it's actually awakened the energy in me
Yeah.
again when I talk about shamanic work. And
Wow.
I said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And he said, no, he said, you're well able for it. And he looked at the other shaman. He said, yeah, she's ready for it. Yeah. And Hilary, was I ready for it? No, honestly, I wasn't.
Look, but you're never ready for any kind of shamanic work or anything that's so, when you're working on deep level of energy. I don't know if anyone's ever ready for it. That's why you get thrust into it as a needs must, because otherwise you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, true.
You just wouldn't. Were you always sensitive to energy? Do you think, looking back, even as a kid, or was it something you just became aware of as you matured?
Always sensitive to energy, Hilary. I was at a young age, and I didn't even know the word for it. I only learned later on in years what it was. I was precognitive. So I would know what was going to happen before it actually happened.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. So I knew, and I was able to help my dad. My dad was a guard he was a detective, a special branch detective with the guards in Clonmel. And
Wow.
yeah, that was really interesting. And I was able to help him not a few crimes, but a few things that happened to me. I was able to tell him about them because I knew before they were going to happen. So I was prepared and been able to take number plates down and stuff prior to the event happening, because I knew it was just good. I could see the whole thing unfolding before my eyes before it would happen.
Dervilla, that's nuts.
Yeah. And I remember once, Hilary, having an argument with my sister. She's a year older than me, and we get on brilliant because she is the best ever. But I remember not wanting to walk home with her because I was a bit stubborn as well. And I remember taking the low road home. And I remember there was gypsies on the road. And as I was walking up across the road, there was a dirt track leading to a much higher road, which was like 3 roads home, really, but way out of the way. It wasn't really our way home, but it was a way out if I needed it. And I remember knowing, as I was walking on the road on my own, I knew I was in trouble. And I saw a gypsy going across to the field, and something said, run, just run.
Oh, God.
And I ran. And the next minute, before I knew it, he was beside me in the car, swung the car door open, and he told me to get in.
Oh, no, Dervilla.
But I knew, Hilary, I knew that was going to happen. I knew I was in trouble. So you are protected. I'm so protected. It's unreal. I know when things are going to happen, and I know what to do.
That's amazing. I had a similar thing in the woods once, actually. I just got driving to the woods. It's like, I'm going to take my dog. My dog is passed now, but I'm going to take my dog to the woods. This was years ago. And I just got this excruciating pain in my stomach. And it was like, don't go to the woods. And I was like, no, but I've got an hour to kill, so I'm going to go. So I overrode that. And then I drove into the car park, and there was a white van, and it was wintertime. So it was dusk. It was 5 p.m. The light was changing, and I saw a white van. I got the pain in my tummy again. And it's like, don't go into the woods. And I still overrode it and went into the woods. And as I was walking along, far in the distance, I saw a man. I didn't even see his face. I just saw his feet. And I got the same thing. It was like, run. And I did.
Good. Oh my God.
I did. And it's never really, like, it was so strong. The third time I couldn't ignore it. The third time it was just, and it wasn't even a kind of a fear-based thing. So I think you can tap into fear as well,
Yeah.
It wasn't fear. It was just pure intuition. It was just listen and run. I did. So that was good. That was a happy ending. I ran back to my car and I scarpered from the car park, and that was it. That was it. I didn't want to hang around to see if I was wrong or not. Don't hang around to see if you're wrong.
Did you take the number plate down?
No, I didn't.
Just to do a little bit of detective work. Oh gosh, we have to follow our gut instinct on everything. Yeah. Well, we know, there's so much going on in the world. We know what's wrong and what's right. If it doesn't resonate with us, we just have to walk away from it.
You have to tune into yourself and know what's wrong or what's right. Without naming a name or a location, what's the wildest thing that you can tell me about what's happened in a house that you've been in when you were doing, say, a consultation or a clearance?
So many wild stories, Hilary. So many, yeah. Yeah, I had to think about this one. Okay. I'd say, okay, some part of Ireland will say, because I don't, if my client hears this, I don't want it to be relevant to her. So I remember, first of all, it happened when this client got in touch with me, and I knew there was a lot of history. I knew there was a lot of work involved because I picked up on it intuitively. And I thought, I didn't know if I wanted to do the house. So I sent out my quote, and she said, well, you know, you're very expensive. And I said, look, feel free to go around and look at other consultants out there. I don't mind at all. And I really didn't. But she came back to me and she said, right, no, I want to hire you. And I said, so I gave her my next 3 dates available, not looking what the dates were. I just knew they were my next available date. So she picked one. And a week prior to working on somebody's house, I'll connect in with it. And I thought, whoa, it was Halloween day. Yeah. So I had picked, well, and she had picked, because I'd given her the date, she had picked this date. So I had the plans. It was a brand new house. And I said to my husband, right, you need to come with me. We're traveling. And he said to me, oh, you need me to bring my drawing material? And I said, no, I have the plans. And he said, why do you need me? And I said, because there's energetically I do. And he has a way of grounding me back in, Hilary, because he doesn't sense spirit. So when I get totally thrown and my energy become very drained, so I just ground back in by going over to him. He brings me right back down, grounds me. That's
gorgeous. That's gorgeous.
So I remembered going to this house, and it was amazing. It was so beautiful. And the land was very, very old. And as I walked in the door of the house, I felt such sadness. So sad. Like I just wanted to cry, but I didn't know why, because it was so beautiful. And the people of the house, they were so lovely as well. So I walked around the house, and he had the plan. So I walked around, saw everyone's bedrooms and stuff. And apparently it was designed to Feng Shui principles. But again, it wasn't the Feng Shui I've learned. So it wouldn't be what I would recommend. So I thought, okay, there's a reason for it. It was built like this. There's a reason for it. It was obviously a lesson these my clients have to learn here. Something's going to go on here. And I knew I knew they'd already gone through a lot because of the sadness. So I remember walking around the house, and I left my husband have a cup of tea with them upstairs while I was doing a bit of work. There was a lot of spirits. I could sense a lot of spirits because I felt the coldness coming around me. So I thought, right, we'll get rid of a few spirits in this house. So I started working on that, and I continued my work. And I remember going upstairs, and the husband said to me, don't tell me we've got to move. And I said, no. And I started laughing. So I said, look, I'll be ready for you shortly, and we'll do the presentation. So we started the presentation. So this is different to the story I had told you, Hilary.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting down, and I said, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to open my computer. I'm going to talk about generic Feng Shui, and then I'm going to start talking about my Feng Shui, what I do. And I'm going to talk about your house and every individual in the house and how everyone's sleeping. And I'm going to tell you what you need to know. Little did I know, just as I turned on the computer, this energy came up through me, and I started giving them all this information that I had known nothing about.
Wow.
And I couldn't stop crying. Because I was relaying an energy. It was, my friend told me afterwards, my shaman friend told me afterwards, that I channeled the woman of the house, of the land, that had seen so much, and all of this needed to be heard by the owners. So I am actually crying. The husband is looking at me with his mouth opened. The lady of the house,
like, this one's a basket case in our house. Go on.
Totally. And she's like holding my hand, and she said, are you okay? And actually, physically, I was fine. I couldn't understand where all these tears were coming from, but I knew I needed to say what I needed to say. And then I stopped. All of a sudden, I was fine. So then I said, look, I'm really sorry, but I needed to express those words. I said, they don't mean anything to me, really, but to you, they will at some stage. So I said, we'll leave it at that. Now we'll just go to the Feng Shui aspect of it. And anyway,
we'll just park that episode, and then we'll move on.
We'll move on. And I remember the lady, she was so sensitive, and she didn't even realize she was so sensitive. She started getting the chill up the arm. And she said to me, oh my God, my arm's gone ice cold. And I said, okay, yeah, it's the left arm, isn't it? She said, yeah. I said, okay, it's the woman now coming through to you so that you can feel what I've said is actually accurate. And I said, but don't worry. She said, but it's gone ice cold, and she's getting her husband to feel. And he said, oh, Jesus, yeah, it's real cold. It's like an ice block. And I said, okay, don't worry. I said, we'll sort you out afterwards. I will rebalance your energies because I'll do that for them afterwards if they need it.
Wow.
And if I feel they need that, I will do that for them. But I remember going through the feng shui, and at the end I said, right, okay, just stand out here. And I had sent my husband out for a little walk around the garden, and they had huge land. So he'd been gone for about an hour and a half. And I remember saying to the lady, right, we'll just do a rebalance. So it's kind of like bioenergy and stuff. Whatever I feel is needed, I'll bring that into the energy field. And I remember asking her something to say my name is, and I said this name that came out of my mouth. And what should have happened is her body should, if she said my name is, like if you said my name is Mary, you'd go backwards, right? Because it's not a truth. You don't flow into the energy. Like if it's a truth, you'll bend into it.
Interesting.
Kind of like,
it's like magnetism almost, like either repelling or being drawn to it.
Yeah, it's like dousing your body. So basically I was using her as the douser. So I said, I want you to say my name is, and I came up with this name that just came into my head, right? And then she shot forward like 95 degrees, and she had a marble island in front, and I actually thought she was going to fall down on top of it. I got such a shock.
Crikey.
Yeah. And the next minute, she's in floods of tears. Next minute, my husband walks in, and I see his face go as white as anything, and he turns around and walks back out again. He's like thinking, Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on in this house? And let's just say it needed to flow through her, because we found out later that she had a connection with the land, unbeknownst to herself. So research proved that there was a genetic DNA lineage going back in time with her. So we knew then what to do and how to do it, but she had to understand that herself and feel it.
Wow.
Like spirits need to be heard before they want to go to their place of resting. Not all of them, most of them do though.
It's so interesting because when you look up feng shui, nobody's like any other practitioners, not that there's very many out there, nobody's talking about that. Hey, if you're enjoying this episode and you'd like to show your support, if you like, you can buy us a coffee using the Buy Me a Coffee app or online at buymeacoffee.com/Live Wild podcast, or just click the link in our show notes, it will take you there. Alternatively, you can also donate crypto to the show using the BitDonate app or at bitdonate.com and search for Live Wild, or just follow the link in the show notes. Either or both those donations really help us make the best show possible. And as always, you can like, subscribe, and share the show with your mates or on social media. Thank you so much for your help.
I know, and sometimes it's hard to talk about it because some people go, for God's sake, don't believe in all of that. And you know what, Hilary, I never did believe in past life regressions. I didn't understand that we came back. I thought, why would we want to come back here again? Seriously? Like, this is my time. I'm not doing it again. Like, we have done it so many times. I've seen it for myself. Spirit has shown me. I have been in the army. I've been in the French resistance. I've been in the German army. I can see myself wearing the hats. All I need to do is just look in the mirror, and I look at myself and I can see through my eyes. All the images start appearing for me. And it's known as scrying.
Yes.
Yeah. So when that first happened, that really frightened me, because it was I was meditating in my room, and I was looking at my window, and it just reflected myself back because it was dark outside. And that's when I started seeing the images coming at me. So yeah.
That's a frightening one. I've done it with the mirror, actually, in again, meditating in darkness and asking it and just kind of going, okay, well, what am I? Yeah. And wild faces came back. I was like, oh, all right, I won't do that practice again. Thanks very much.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like, Hilary, you kind of look at it and go, oh, I like that picture. Can I have that picture back, please? And then you kind of get, it's weird. It's kind of like, well, which one is me? Who am I now?
Probably an amalgamation of all of them, in a sense. Like, I think there's a thread of all of them in there. That would be my belief. I think like we're completely unique in every lifetime that we serve, but there's threads, I think, running through.
There is, and there's aspects. So if we've been hit or injured from a previous lifetime, you will bring that through if you have not resolved it.
Interesting.
And you know what? It's funny. I was at a foraging. I was telling you this. I was at this foraging event there a while back, and this beautiful girl was at it, and she was asking. She had issues with her knee and stuff, and she was asking the herbalist, what would you recommend? And as she said, look, there's different layers. We'd have to look at different layers of why you're having this problem and how long it's been going on. I can't just recommend a herb. But I knew it was something in her that she wasn't dealing with, that it was emotional trauma and it was expressing itself, because that came to me. And then as I was thinking about it, I started coughing. So I knew there was words she needed to say, and in order to move forward, she needed to address it. So I had a word with her afterwards, and it made sense to her.
And was she happy to receive that information?
Very, very happy, but
Brilliant.
shocked.
Yeah. Again, it's like the thing we talked about at the start. It's like sometimes it takes a complete stranger to say one thing and that changes the course of your life, you know, or your health. So Feng Shui can be used obviously to rebalance energies within the home, but that can affect so health, wealth, abundance, relationships, your business. I watched the video on your website when you talked about you went into somebody's business and literally rearranged what their business looked like, where the people entered and exited, and where the counters were and where the stock were. And the person that you were talking to absolutely said, "My God, we've had the best year ever since Dervilla came in." Like, that's quite remarkable. Like, and I suppose, how do you deal with somebody then who maybe is slightly a skeptic or fully a skeptic, but still kind of, I don't know, feels the need, like, God, if my business isn't working, I'm desperate. I'm going to get this person in. How do you deal with the skeptics?
Well, I talk to them first, and I see if I want to take them on board as a client, because I don't want to have to try and convince people, you know, my worth and how it will actually work. But I'll know if it's right for them. Like, we'll have a conversation. Normally there'll be something that I will say that will trigger something in them. And then I know we're the right match for that job. But different, like if I'm looking for, say, if I'm like one of my friends now, she's a friend now because she's Chinese, and I've worked with her for the last 15 years. But for her, I'm looking for sickness coming in her door, because that's what she works as. She helps sick people get better. So we're looking for different frequencies to match people's needs. So for business, depending what the business is, so if you're selling items, say jewelry, you want a certain energy at the door. If you're a solicitor, you want a different energy again at the door. You want conflict. So I want that for a building that will have that conflict coming through the door, so they're going to be constantly busy. So it all depends what you're looking for houses and for businesses. Where you position the cash register, where everything goes. Like, I remember doing a hairdressing salon many years ago, and I said to them, I said, don't change the flooring here. I said, it's black. I said, don't change the flooring. Didn't they change the flooring 2 years later? Forgot what I said, didn't resonate with them. Yeah. The partnership broke up. It was the worst thing they could have done.
Crikey, a simple thing like that.
A simple thing like that, yeah. Yeah. And so many houses, Hilary, people are getting it wrong with the new design phase. They're putting white floorboards in, not white floorboards, but white tiling in. And it's so wrong. They're getting it back to front, like the ceiling's dark and then the walls are light, and then the floor is lightest. It's like the other way around it should be. It should always emanate nature. So light ceilings, darker walls, darkest floorboards.
So that would be a principle of Feng Shui then, that it should always emanate nature.
Yes.
Emulate, sorry, not emanate.
Yeah.
Emulate. Wow. So how can people then in their everyday lives, I mean, if they can't go down the road of consultation, what can you give 2 really basic things that someone can look around their home now, if they're at home or in their office, and 2 basic things that they can implement straight away?
Yes. First of all, I would say, look around at your space. Do you like what you see?
Okay.
Yeah. Less is more. Take items out. The less items you have in your place, the better you'll feel. Secondly, introduce plants.
I noticed all the plants behind you. It's absolutely,
Like, I love plants, and so do you, Hilary, because I know you love plants too. And I mean, plants are amazing.
Yes.
There's a frequency of the plants, like plants have frequencies that you can tune in on. So yeah, plants. And with the resurgence of plants and people becoming, bringing more plants into the house, I think that's a really good start to Feng Shui. Like they say, each person in the house should have at least 5 plants to them. So if there's 5 adults, 25 plants throughout the house. And we don't. I've gone into so many houses with no plants.
It's so funny. It's so funny because I was meditating yesterday and I tuned in and I was like, I would actually not anything to do with this interview, but I just tuned in. I was like, what do I need more in my space? And what I got was buy herbs and put herbs all over your house.
Yes.
Specifically herbs. It was more so than just decorative plants. It was like, buy the herbs and put them all over your house. I was like, oh, okay. I'm sure my husband's going to be thrilled with his herbs hanging everywhere, but I'm going to go do it because it's now I've gotten confirmation from you to do it. Yeah.
Oh, and oregano is probably the best because there's so many people now complaining about parasites in their body, and oregano just kills the parasite. Fresh oregano, tear it up into any food, into soups, into stews, anything, and that will help you bring back balance.
Oregano is
oregano.
Oregano, they say in the States, yeah. Or I call it oregano as well. It's actually unbelievable. I keep a bottle next to my bed, right? It's food grade. I think it's from doTERRA.
Oh, I love doTERRA's products.
doTERRA is beautiful, but
Brilliant.
I started to put it, this is really random, but in my belly button at night.
Just on its own with no mixer?
No, I need to put a mixer in because I did burn my belly button.
I think so. I think you would need a little bit.
So strong. I need to mix it up and put it with a mixer oil, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be remarkable. Like I've taken it with a mixer oil in capsules that I've made myself when I've been sick. And within 3 days, if you take it 3 times a day, like an antibiotic, within 3 days, you're cleared, you're good to go. It's remarkable stuff.
Oh, it was the one oil I took to India with me when I traveled for the Delhi belly.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and it sorted me out 3-4 hours. I took one drop, put it on my wrist, and I just inhaled it and sucked it in. And it was disgusting. I thought I was going to get sick, but it sorted me out.
It's very strong. It's not for, when I say not for everybody, meaning, it is for everybody, but meaning taste wise, it's very strong. It's very pungent, but it's great stuff. It's great stuff.
Oh, it's brilliant, Hilary. Absolutely. Hilary, can I just say something there? I'm being very naughty now. I just want to say people have to be aware of the plastics as well. We're surrounded by plastics. And when you're going for a takeaway coffee, try to bring your own mug because the plastic that is covering the mugs, the paper mugs, gets into our coffee and gets into our tea and hot drinks. So people are just so unaware of this.
Plastics are deadly. They're in everything. They're finding it in babies' umbilical cords. It's how deep it's gotten now. Yeah. Yeah. I read that recently, and it's like, sure, it's in everything. It's in our water, our food, even stuff you bring into the house. I'm quite conscious of, like plastic toys as well. All our kids' toys are plastic, and, it's not much you can do about that. But I'm just conscious of it. So it is good to be conscious of what we're consuming. And plastics in our clothes.
Oh, crazy.
I stripped out all our bed clothes and went for natural, because I noticed that my husband in particular was a terrible sleeper, and, stripped out all the synthetic bed clothes and put all the natural stuff, the linens and the cottons, back on it, just to try and settle, because you'll see it when there's static. If there's literally static in the bed off the pajamas and off the bedclothes, that's electricity. Like you need to ground that down with the natural fibers, and you'll have a better night's sleep.
And the clothes hold different frequencies, and I did a blog on that on my website about clothes and the frequencies and how they affect us.
Wow,
so that is up there. Yeah.
Do you know what I bought recently? I bought a wool pillow. Oh my God,
it's a wool.
It's a wool pillow. So most of the pillows you get are kind of silicone or microfibers or whatever. And I hated that. I just didn't like the way the night's sleep I got in it. And I wasn't mad on duck either, because, the duck comes through and stabs you and stuff, the ends of the feathers. And I wasn't mad on that. So I was like, there has to be some other kind of natural pillow. And there's wool pillows out there. And I can say, hand on my heart, unbelievable. Best night's sleep I've had since I got that wool pillow.
And tell me, I love a cool head when I'm sleeping. Does that keep your head cool, or is it warm?
Wool will keep you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So it's got a natural cooling ability or quality, I want to call it. Yeah. So you don't overheat. Whereas if you have the microfiber pillows, you overheat. This is going into other territory altogether now.
No,
Here
but
we're
it's
talking
true.
about village.
It's all to do with the house.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
the energy, and sleeping is so important. Like so many houses, the bedrooms are bright. You need to have a dark room when you sleep in order to release the melatonin. And if you don't have a dark room, you're not going to sleep well.
That's interesting because I sleep with the blinds up. So I love the daylight. And
Jesus, you love the daylight. But Hilary, is it pitch dark when you go to sleep, or can you see? Is the brightness coming in?
Well, like in the summertime now, obviously it's bright till 10, but sure, I go to bed at like 9:30. I'm such a nerd. I go
good for the lymphatics. That's very good.
But I'll sleep no bother. And even when if the dawn starts at whatever it's starting now, and we've just gone past the solstice, so it starts at whatever 5 a.m. we'll say, I'll sleep through the light until 7 a.m. my normal wake up time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know.
But do you wake up feeling rejuvenated? Do you have that energy? Because if you have, great.
In the last year, no, I haven't actually, Dervilla. I wonder is that why she'll have to come here. Well, you are going to come to my house and do a consultation at some point. Yeah. It might be a second episode to this after that consultation. Okay, so the two things that you're saying people can do in their everyday lives is look around their spaces where they live, where they work, where they sleep, and say, do I like this space? Is this an inviting space to be in? And secondly, introduce plants.
Absolutely.
Two very basic things.
Yeah. And even Hilary, taking a different seat in a room will give you a different perspective as well.
That's interesting. You could sit at all different spots of your room in your house and actually go, what does the angle look like here? Or That's brilliant. Okay. I suppose this is a follow-on question, really. Can people practice Feng Shui themselves? And are there resources out there that they can go to?
There's books out there. There's absolutely books out there. And there's, they say it's a black cat Feng Shui that is mainly in the books.
Black cat?
It's kind of a black cat Feng Shui. Black cat Feng Shui. But it's very generic. It's kind of the Bagua. So, and I've seen a lot of people do it, use, like, I'd say to them, why do you have the red door? Oh, but it's facing south and it says that on the Bagua, it's my fame.
Okay.
And you should have red in the south. And I'm like, no, that's one hat fits all. I said aspects of that Feng Shui can work, but 10%, 90% don't. So, but look, if there's aspects in it, like clearing your space, don't have a TV in your bedroom.
Yeah, I never.
There's aspects of it that yes, and don't have mirrors opposite your bed. Yes. So if you want to kind of understand aspects of Feng Shui there, and because that's what I thought Feng Shui was about initially when I got into it. I thought that was Feng Shui, so I was happy to get into that because I didn't want to go too deep. I just thought, you know what, we'll just touch on it and we'll be grand. But no, if you have to do anything, you have to go deep, right? You have to get down to the layers of what's going on and why people are getting sick.
Wow. And so people are actually getting sick in their homes because the aspects are incorrect.
Yeah. The energy, the frequency is off and they don't understand. But I think mainly a lot of it is to do with where they sleep as well. If you don't get a good night's sleep, you need at least 8 hours to get a good night's sleep, because that's, and you need to go to bed around 9:30, 10 o'clock for the lymphatics to work.
Oh, that's me, girl.
Yeah, you have to, and that's spot on, Hilary. Like, that is perfect. So you need a cool room as well, and you need a window open, slight window open. You do not need a hot room. Like, that is not good for you at all. So, sleeping is so important. But if, like, I remember at a coffee morning many years ago, and I said to my friend, I said, what's this in aid of? And they said, oh, little girl's got cancer, leukemia.
Oh, bless.
Oh God, that's terrible. I said, can I ask you a question? Is there any other children, any other siblings with cancer? I don't even know why I asked that question, but I obviously do at some level. Bless. And she said, let me just check for you, and came back to me. She said, yeah, actually, one of the other sisters had cancer as well. And I said, can you give them my card? Anyway, went out to do the house. And straight away, I said, don't tell me where you're sick. They 3 children, 3 or 4 children. I said, don't tell me where your child is sleeping. I'll show you. And I was able to pinpoint it.
Wow.
Yeah. I just sensed the energy was completely off.
Oh my goodness.
And it's weird because when I sat in the house and I connected energetically with it, I started getting a sore throat. And I asked the lady for some water. I said, "Can I have some water?" And I tasted the water and I said, "Is anyone here got throat problems?" And she said, "Well, why are you asking?" And I said, "Because I'm picking it up myself."
Yeah.
So I'm picking up there's an energy and somebody's got throat issues. And she said, "Well, I've had throat cancer." So I was
Oh
picking
my,
up on her energies. So there was 3 cancers in that house.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, and I was able to pinpoint another house with it as well. I said, can you find out about the owners up there? Yeah. So
That's
a house will dictate what's going on.
that's remarkable.
Yeah. It's,
It's
it's,
in,
it's not fair as well. But then you think, we should never feel sorry for anyone because it's their journey as well. We've come here to experience, to learn and to move on and evolve.
absolutely, but also how lucky are they to have come across you to be able to understand that as well, because I mean, um, most people wouldn't understand it. I didn't understand it. I don't really fully understand. I can't wait for you to come to my house because my house is old, Dervilla.
I know.
There's going to be a lot of clearing in that house. There's a lot of clearing. Telling you now. You'd have to bring an army of people to clear that house.
I feel it already, Hilary.
Oh! I'll be hiding behind you. I'll be hiding behind you with my sage, please, my crystals. Because I said this to you that I tried to, I knew there was something up in certain rooms and I tried to clear some of it and you were like, nah, sage isn't going to do it.
Sage isn't going to do it.
I think though, I do maintain as well that I probably, even if I was, and I'm nowhere near on the level that you are, not even at the beginning, but if I was qualified, I think it's probably literally too close to home. I think somebody else would have to do it.
Yeah.
That's the sense that I get, is that you kind of have to, if it's your own family or your own house, and you think you just need someone else to do the clearing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, because and it's the same for our partners when they need a healing. We're their partners, we're not their healers.
Yes.
Haven't taken on that role as mammy or healers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've got to understand that. So that's why I got Paul in to do our house initially, just
Very
to do
good.
the clearing for me. So he was impartial and he was able to tell me what was going on. And and it was resonating with me. I understood it. But then when I studied it further, I got a better understanding of it.
Wow. For better or for worse.
Exactly.
Dervilla, we are coming towards the end. I would love to do the Live Well quick fire round. Are you ready for it?
Am I ever going to be ready for these questions?
Okay.
Fire.
Dervilla Griffin on the Live Well quick fire round. Do you believe in magic?
Yes, I believe in both black and white magic.
Ooh, I've never had that answer before. I love it.
Okay.
Love it. Okay. What do you stand for?
What do I stand for? Alternative approaches rather than just taking the pill.
Love it.
Yeah.
If you were to distill yourself down, excuse me, let me take that again. If you were to distill yourself down to an essence, what would that essence be?
Now, would that be like an oil, Hilary?
Everyone asks this question.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, but I mean, I think I need to phrase it better maybe, but it's the most succinct way that I can put it. Like, yeah, it could be an oil, it could be anything. I've had answers like, someone said CBD and gin, someone said cheese, somebody said something, so you can take it whatever way you want to.
Okay, sandalwood.
Oh, how gorgeous.
Sandalwood.
Yeah, how gorgeous. That's lovely. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
Ayahuasca.
Ah, yes. That's pretty wild. It's pretty wild and so beautiful. What's the one thing you do every day that helps you live wild and free?
Now, I'm not too sure if this is going to be called wild and free for me, but it's just connecting with nature on a daily basis, be it a bird chirping or be it a tree. I'll go out and I'll be drawn to something of the frequency I need. And that's it for me. But I think the most important thing for me is when I join that frequency, admire it for what it is, be it a flower or a plant. And once you do that, Hilary, it allows you into its frequency. Oh, and it's pure love. It's pure love.
That's like smelling a rose. That's my thing. This year in particular, the roses, I know we've had a really rainy summer so far and it's been fairly brutal, but the rose bloom that's out at the moment, It's the best I've ever seen in years. And I'm just so drawn to it. And I'm looking at all the roses and I'm just smelling their scents. And oh, I love it. I love it.
Pure love for you, Rose.
Yeah, Rose. There you go. There you go. The rose. Love it. On that note, Dervilla Griffin, Feng Shui Matters. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It's been a gorgeous chat. I hope the listeners get something from this.
I hope so too. Thank you so much, Hilary. It's great talking to you. I forgot I was being interviewed.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for being here. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed making these episodes. Thank you, as always, to our amazing guests. A special thank you to Aoife McNamara, my co-producer extraordinaire from Imagine Media. Please like, share, subscribe and rate us. It all really helps. And remember, this content is for education and entertainment purposes. In short, it's not gospel. I always say, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Always question everything and do your own research.